I heard a lot of conflicting views about Outschool, and I was not sure what to think. I knew some teacher friends that were making over $100 an hour on Outschool, and then I had other teacher friends telling me, bad idea, Outschool stinks. So I decided to take matters into my own hands, and now I've been with Outschool for 3 months. So today I'm going to be talking about how much money I made in my first month with Outschool, and then I'm also going to be talking about my Outschool pay in my second month as well. Then I'm going to talk just briefly about bookings, and after that, my overall view of Outschool and if I think it's a good idea for you to teach for them if that's something you are interested in. Hey, I'm so glad you're here. I'm Danie, an online ESL teacher and an entrepreneur. I help people build a life of freedom through online teaching and also through building scalable brands on YouTube. Really quickly, before we begin, I want to explain what exactly Outschool is. So Outschool is an online marketplace where teachers can list all sorts of classes where they make their own curriculum. So you're an independent contractor if you teach for Outschool, and you can list classes from like dance classes, coding classes, to art classes. So there's a bunch of different things, and there's a lot of freedom and flexibility. If you are interested in knowing more just about Outschool in general and the requirements to be an Outschool teacher, you don't need a degree. Click this link for a blog post where I break all of that down, and you can also find it in the description box below. So what was my paycheck for my first month at Outschool? Well, let's break it down first. So I started opening classes in October. Now, my first class had 4 students, and I made it a one-time class. There's different types of classes you can read about in that blog post I talk about, but I did a one-time class, and it was on YouTube, how to start a successful YouTube channel. And I was really nervous for the class. I'd never taught my own curriculum before. I was really scared. And after the class happened, I thought that it went really bad. The kids asked a lot of questions I just wasn't expecting, so it really helped me kind of tweak the class, but I was actually really nervous after the class, and I waited 2 weeks to then before I listed another class in October because I was just scared. And so I had to look myself in the mirror and be like, girl, you can do it. I did the Charlotte Buff thing.
Just do it. Make your dreams come true.
Okay. So I taught that YouTube class 5 more times in October. Then I had 2 more classes that I listed on how to make YouTube thumbnails and 1 class on how to make YouTube channel art. So all the classes I try to niche down to be in the YouTube sphere. It's really helpful to try and start with the niche when you're starting out on Outschool. So for all of October, I taught 9 classes that totaled 8.25 hours, and I made, drumroll, I made $265.30 for October. So not a lot of money, but I didn't really teach that many classes. I only taught 8, like a little over 8 hours. I charged around $15 for my 45 to 50 minute classes. And so if you average that all out, I was averaging about $32 an hour. But I also put time into making that initial curriculum, so that adds to it. So it's a little bit less than that, I guess, when you add in the time that I took to make my curriculum. But I feel like once you make your curriculum, those classes you can list over and over again. So then it kind of evens out. So I really don't count that time because I'm still teaching those YouTube classes today. I think my pay also would have been a lot higher average, but I did have 1 class with just 1 student, and normally you can cancel those, but I decided to keep it because I really wanted to better forge relationships in the beginning of my Outschool career. Just a quick note too, it's really important to know that Outschool does take a 30% cut of your pay. So this is what I'm making after that 30% cut. They take that from you for you to be able to list your class because they promote the class, and there's thousands of parents that are searching for classes on Outschool. So you have to decide if that's worth it to you, if you're willing to let them take that amount of your pay. As always, if you have been on my channel before, you know I always advocate for teachers to be building businesses of their own that you have full control over. If you ever feel unsatisfied or lacking in confidence and clarity, and you've been wanting to start building your own YouTube channel, check out my program where it's a step-by-step private coaching program where I hold your hand and I show you exactly how you can build an authentic and scalable brand on YouTube. Now, my second month at Outschool in November was actually much better. I actually had to do the math a couple times because I didn't believe that that was my average rate that I was making. So I was mainly teaching one-time YouTube classes, and then I had 1 ongoing class, but it didn't do super well. It wasn't very popular, but I had a couple of students in it. And overall, in November, I only taught 5.5 hours, and I made $473.90. And so I ended up making around $84 an hour. What? Yeah, $84 an hour with Outschool. I couldn't believe it. Teaching classes about YouTube. If you are an Outschool teacher, I would love to know what is your average pay if you feel comfortable in sharing. I think it's really helpful for other potential teachers to see how much money they could be making with Outschool. Now that we've talked about how much money I've been making per hour, let's transition and talk about bookings, because that's super important. It doesn't matter if you can be making a lot per hour, but can you actually get booked? And I actually saw my bookings decrease a lot in November. I think with the holidays coming up, especially in December, my bookings have really dwindled. So it's important to note that you really have to invest time into figuring out what classes people are going to be wanting to take, getting creative and listing even holiday classes or what season it is, and understanding how to plan for the future. I think it's really helpful to list one-time classes when you're first starting and play around with some different topics and see what classes get likes and follows and bookings, and even listening at different hours and play around and see what works best for you. Overall, Outschool is very similar to companies like GoGoKid and VIPKid in that it takes time to build up. But with Outschool, you do have to be more creative and make sure you're really trying to put things out that students are actually looking for. So doing keyword research and making sure that you have strong titles and descriptions and thumbnails. Those things are all really important when listing classes and trying to build up bookings. All right, so now it's time for my overall Outschool review. And okay, so like $80 an hour doesn't suck, right? I think it's definitely worth it to give Outschool a shot, especially if you're really passionate about a specific topic or you have expertise in something. List those classes, try them out, apply to Outschool, give it a go. I was so nervous. Know that everybody is nervous when they first start teaching on Outschool. Teaching online can be a little bit different. Teaching your own curriculum, if you're not used to it, can be scary like it was for me. But it is so fun to be able to teach on something that you really love, and you can really make good money. I mean, even $30 an hour, $80 an hour is good money, so it's worth it to give it a shot, I think. I obviously think a con to working with Outschool is that they do take that 30% cut from your pay, but if you aren't wanting to list your own classes on your own website, it's a great starting point because they do the marketing for you. They already have parents' eyes looking through the different classes. So that's something I think that kind of outweighs what they take from your pay if you don't want to build your own website, do your own marketing, and that sort of a thing. If you are interested in teaching your own classes for your own business, for your own self, you can check out this interview I have with teacher Natalie. She actually started her own teaching school, her own website, and she does princess classes, Spanish classes, English classes. She created this company that's really unique to her, and she had thought about teaching on Outschool, but she said, I didn't want them to take a part of my money. I knew that I could build it up myself, and so I've done that. So if that interests you, then definitely check out that interview because it is really helpful in getting ideas and just seeing how she did that herself. I have a full playlist on my channel of teacher entrepreneur interviews. If you are interested in that, then check that out. And again, if you are feeling a little unsatisfied with online teaching and you've always wanted to start building your own authentic scalable brand on YouTube, then definitely check out my masterclass. I have a free masterclass you can find in the link below, and I cover the 3 most common mistakes that I see new teachers making when trying to start building brands on YouTube, and I go over my 4-step strategy to starting an authentic and scalable brand on YouTube. So definitely check that out. My next interview coming out is with one of my favorite Outschool teachers, Lainey of It's Life with Lainey, so be sure to stay tuned for that. And while you wait for that, you can check out these other videos as well. Have an awesome day, and I'll see you next time.